Good morning, how are you?
Very happy to be here with you and to listen to your story, to learn a bit about your background, experience, and also to learn from your knowledge. Before we continue, what's your name?
My name is Phoebe and I am the owner of Forager.ie. It's a skincare brand. We make everything from plants that we forage, and if we can't forage them, we grow them here in our allotment here in Bornabrina. I am also what they call a green witch, so I'm someone who works with plants all day long. Anything that's green holds my heart, and I help people to connect with nature by walks, talks and classes.
Can you please tell us a bit more? So you said people call you the Green Witch. How all this started? Let's say, why did they call you this way?
So they call me the Green Witch because I'm someone that you generally will find in ditches finding plants, and to me the term witch needs to be brought back to life and the dirtiness taken away from it. The likes of Disney did us dirty, but realistically what witches are, they're the people who help people. They're the caretakers of the land. They would have been the midwives, the person that you would have gone to in your local village before there was chemists and shops and doctors to go to. You would have went to the local healer, and that's what was branded witches. So I like to think that I can help keep these stories alive and help people feel better.
Okay. So let's see a couple of things. So do you heal people, and what kind of plants do you have in your garden?
Yeah, so I'm a clinical herbalist, so people come to me with different ailments and I will help them to get better using plants that I grow here. Sometimes it's wild plants that I'll forage as well, but here in my allotment it's only early in the season, so things are starting to grow, but the majority of this plot here is made up with medicinal plants. So I have everything from St. John's wort to valerian, motherwort, skullcap, mullein, chamomile, lots of different plants that will help people to feel better for different ailments. So that's what I will focus a lot of it on in these plants.
Okay, so is there any plant in particular that you, let's say, love or you like the most, or all are equally important?
This one over here, I'll bring you. This one here in the back. This one is called motherwort. She's the big mama of this plot. Now, in about 2 months, she's going to be about this high, really, really tall. But her Latin name is Leonora cardiaca. So think about the name Leonora lion, cardiaca, like the heart. So her name roughly translates to lion heart. So this is a plant that I will help people who suffer maybe with heart conditions for, but more so than that, people who suffer with heartache, heartbreak, loss, grief. So she takes care of the heart in not just the physical way, but in the metaphysical way as well. So she's a very special plant, and she becomes the big mama. When she goes big and tall, she takes over and dominates here. She is the boss.
She's the boss, okay. And can people, let's say, plant it in any garden, or does it need a special treatment? Or?
No, she's happy to grow. She's happy to grow. Yeah, like she gets full sun here every day. We're up on the top of the Dublin Mountains here, so she's very, very happy and she thrives. This will be her 4th year, and she thrives every year. She gets bigger and bigger, and she throws babies all over the place. So I've got little motherworts popping up all over the place. But no, she's a very happy plant to grow where she's needed.
Okay. Thank you so much. And after this, we call it mama, yeah? Big mama?
Big mama.
Do you have any other plants that you...
Yeah, I'll show you this one. I'll show you this one over here. This one here is called lungwort.
Why?
Well, very good question. Plants have a way of telling you how they want to help you. As a herbalist, we call it the doctrine of signatures. So a plant has a signature, a message in the way that it grows, teaching us how it wants to help us. So if you were to take a look at the leaf, it's almost lung-shaped, but there's blotches on it. So this is telling you that it wants to help people who might have maybe a mucus or a build-up on their lungs. So that's why it would have been called back in the day lungwort. And it grows these gorgeous pink and purple flowers all over it. They're all starting to open up now. And later on, by about noon today, if you were to walk by this plant, you'll hear it buzzing. The bees absolutely love it, and they thrive on it and they feed on it. So it's not just taking care of people, but it's also taking care of our pollinators.
The plants also need each other and they help each other, and there's also, is it true that they communicate with each other, right?
Oh, 100%. I completely believe that plants communicate with each other. The original World Wide Web is just under our feet. They send out roots, they send out messages, they send water, they send healing and helping different plants if they're dying. They'll send water, same way trees do as well, and mushrooms as well. So there's a lot more going on than just what's happening on the surface.
Any other plants that have special powers?
Lots of different. You are in the mecca.
In the mecca of plants, yeah.
Oh, plants. This one here. I'll show you. This one here that's growing all over the place. In a couple of weeks, this one will grow beautiful yellow flowers on it, and this is called St. John's wort. And this is a very, very special plant because this helps people who suffer with depression and anxiety. It's a really, really special one. So what I'll do is when this comes into full bloom, I will chop it, I'll cut it back. I ask for permission first. I'll always ask permission from my plants first before I take anything from them, because it's a respect, it's a reciprocal, they're giving of themselves to me. So for me, I have to give the respect back. And I will tincture this, usually in a vodka or an apple cider vinegar, and then it'll be used to help people who suffer with depression.
And how do you prepare them? So it's like you have to in the form of a tea, or
so there's different ways you can use this. You can turn this into like infuse it into like an olive oil to make a salve for your skin. But in the majority of the time, I tincture this. So that means I will cut the plant, chop it up small, and I will infuse it into vodka for about 6 weeks, and then the infused juice that's left over, that's what we use to treat people.
Okay, very good.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's called a tincture.
Okay, anything else that you'd like to show us?
This one is called meadow rue, and this is just one that I grow because I like to think it doesn't all have to be about the medicine. It's nice to have some really pretty things as well. We eat with our eyes, and also I think when our eyes feed our brains as well. So for me, having some really pretty flowers as well as our natives like the yarrow and honeysuckle and different plants that we have here, I think it's nice to have some pretty decorative things in the garden as well.
That's true. Okay, so listen, all these plants, you use them mostly for your own consumption, or you also try to sell them, or how
So
does
I
it
have a skincare brand called Forager, and for that I make skincare for people using wild native Irish plants. So the likes of daisies and chickweed, nettles, different things like that. And we sell them all over the world at the moment. So we've about 120 stockists in Ireland, 12 in America, and we've just broken into the UK. So we're spreading the word of the power of these native Irish plants and how nature has so much to give us in healing. All we have to do is trust and listen.
And how do we manage to do this in such a busy world where we are so disconnected, not only from plants but also from ourselves?
I think a lot of it is a matter of slowing down. People talk about meditation and mindful practice. For me, being out in nature, being foraging, collecting plants, working in the garden, I find it very hard to sit and be still. But pottering around in the allotment and digging holes and working with plants, that for me is my form of meditation. That is my form of mindful healing. And I think a lot of people feel that because once you're in the garden, once you're planting things, you're only focused on what's in your hand. So it takes you out of your head and brings you into the present.
Okay. So you're fully present. You're not in your mind, and that's very powerful. And actually, it's that maybe what we as a modern society we've lost. What do you think?
I think so. And currently there's studies coming out of Japan that are saying that gardening should not be considered just a hobby. It hits all of the pillars of mindful practice. So sense of purpose because you're growing food, sense of community, you're around people, you're chatting, you're sharing knowledge and plants with each other. You're doing something physically, like a physical immersion. You are seeing green, you're hearing the birds. All of these lovely things all pooled together to be a really, really good way of taking care of your mental health. So for me, I think that by having more green space and by that to allow people to grow is probably one of the most powerful things that we can do for people with mental health.
But what about those who, because those who live in cities, and it's very difficult, at least in Dublin, to have access to such a beautiful spot. What would be your advice?
Yeah, well, at the moment, Ireland is probably one of the worst in the EU for community growing spaces. People travel from all over the place to come to allotments like this, and they're few and far between. There's only about 2,300 allotment plots in the whole of Ireland for our population that is so steeped in agriculture, so steeped in green. It's absolutely abysmal. I would think if anybody does have a little bit of a green space, maybe in their back garden, don't consider paving it, don't consider putting down astroturf. Think about how you can put in maybe a little bit of space that's just for growing something that's going to not just feed your family or feed yourself, but feed your heart.
That sounds very beautiful, very inspiring. Now, you mentioned before some Japanese concepts. What do you know about Ikigai? and about the purpose in life. What is your purpose in life?
My purpose in life is to help people to connect with nature, to help people to come back to the soil again. For me, working with nature really helped me after losing my dad. So for me, to be able to help people to find their way back to nature, to understand that nature has so much more to give us. All you have to do is to get involved. So from that, I offer like foraging walks, I do classes to help people to connect, I offer retreats, and we do lots of different things to help people to go, do you know what, this isn't something that's way out there or you have to know a hell of a lot about before you start where you are, come along, get involved and see just the power of nature. And once people start getting involved and letting nature in, they become absolutely hooked.
No doubt. And would you say that the most beautiful story since you started with all this is the story of your father's story?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I lost my dad after an 11-day illness with cancer. Only 11 days, very, very fast. But my dad was a great outdoors man, a great nature person, taught me a lot growing up about nature. So after I lost him, my world obviously was turned upside down. But the one thing that called me back to help me through my grief was the soil. So I found myself up here in this little allotment digging holes. I don't know what I was digging for, but I feel like I was digging my grief into the soil, and lots of beauty grew from it. So for me, that's where this all began, was with, you know, needing something to put my grief into and do something physical to get this grief out of my body. And yeah, now I have my lovely, from that grew my business. And like, I think people with passion tend to morph into businesses out of their passion. I'm absolutely one of those people, because from putting my grief into the soil, I now have a nature business and I teach people and I help other people. So yeah, it's one of those things where one thing has led to the next.
Before the event with your father, what were you doing?
I was working in digital marketing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I've always worked in like brand identity, digital marketing, helping people to tell their story through their brands. So when COVID happened, it gave me a bit of space to go, actually, do you know what, maybe I need to start telling stories myself. And that's what, yeah, so I left a job that I loved to do this, and I haven't looked back.
So no regrets? If you
Absolutely no regrets, absolutely no regrets. And I think if you do something from a place of love, from a place of passion, you can't really go too far wrong.
Okay, so now your advice for those who like to follow your steps, to discover their ikigai, their purpose in life, their greatest passion, what would your advice be? Because in your case, you started from a place of pain, grief. What would be your advice for those?
I think trust yourself, trust your gut, trust your instincts, listen to yourself, take time to listen to yourself. And that's usually the hardest part, because the world is so busy, we're so busy all the time, that we don't tend to have time to listen to what we really want. Whereas if you can actually take a bit of time, whether it's going for a walk, whether it's going for a run, maybe it's painting, maybe it's baking, whatever your thing is, find your thing that makes you stop thinking about the world bigger and thinking more internally about yourself, and find whatever it is that's your passion and just go for it. Jump off that cliff of fear, and goodness will catch you.
Okay, thanks so much. And now, let's see. So you said people can find you on your Instagram, and what about your shops? You said you have shops.
Yeah,
in
well, you can find all of our stock is on forager.ie is my website, so you'll find us all over Ireland. But yeah, if you're on Instagram, follow me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all the things. Forager.ie.
Would you also give, let's say, classes for those who are interested in gardening and knowledge that you have?
I share so much free information on my Instagram, so that you'll pick up loads of tips. And then if you want to come along to one of my classes or my courses or retreats, you're more than welcome. I'd love to see you there.
Do you do webinars?
Not necessarily webinars, but we do. But I share a lot of reels and stories and clips and stuff like that.